BeastNet is brought to you by James Safety Services in partnership with OCR Buddy and OCR Strong. Here we discuss all things OCR and fitness related. Welcome to BeastNet.
Hey everybody, it's Mike with BeastNet, and today I've got with me Russ from OCR Buddy. So Russ, it's been a while since you've been on, so maybe let everyone know a little bit about you and all that kind of stuff so people know who Russ is.
Well, Mike, first, thanks very much. I appreciate being back here. I think this is my third time here with you. And so it is appreciated. So yeah, I'm Russ, and I am, I guess people call me the OCR Buddy guy. OCR Buddy is today and always has been the only calendar and database app for obstacle course racing. And we bring out events from all over the world, over 70 countries we've had events from, into one spot right on your phone, so that the ease of finding events, scheduling events, and everything is right in the palm of your hands.
Which is amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing idea and an amazing use of the phone. I mean, we use our phone for everything. So I mean, it's in our hands constantly. So might as well make it, do something cool. So having it be able to find the OCRs that we're all looking for anyway, is great, because we all want to try different ones. We don't want to just keep doing them. Once you do one, it's kind of like, it's like I say, it's like Pringles. Once you pop, you can't stop, So, and we always want to try the different ones. We don't want to just keep doing, like one brand. We want to look at them all. And that's what I liked about OCR Buddy, is it's all of them. It's not just one brand. You kind of bring them all together. Even like the smaller races, like locals, are on there.
Well, it's kind of a thought process that, there are races that everybody does. There are brands that people, constantly do, Spartans and Tough Mudders, and here on the East Coast, more of the Savages. And these brands, they do drive the industry, whether we like it or not. The major brands drive the industry because they have events all over the place.
Yes.
On the West Coast, you have Mud Factor, and there's other brands as well. But it's these other small events and these local events that really do keep people interested, because, for example, on Long Island, where I live, we used to have Tough Mudder and Spartan on Long Island, and Rugged Maniac. Now they're not here. They all moved off, but there are some local smaller ones around that we do. And those help because it keeps people interested, and then it has them go look for those other ones. Or vice versa, when you do the Spartans and the Tough Mudders and you want something in between, if it's not for these small races, there's just nothing there. So that's one of the beautiful things I love about OCR Buddy is, I love it when I find a race that I've never found before. I think it's really cool. I get this rush when I'm like, oh, wow, I found this race in Kentucky, or I found this race in Portugal that is this local 5K mud run that says they're the best, and I love it. And it's a lot of fun to find those and reach out to the people who are the owners, the race directors, let them know, hey, you're in the app. And, the reactions are awesome. And it's one community. And that's another thing that OCR Buddy promotes is community. We are all one community. We obviously for the last few years, we've had a lot of races that have gone by the wayside. They haven't continued once the pandemic went through. And it's a shame because, the more that we lose, the more that the community suffers. So it's really something that, like OCR Buddy, we really do try to promote the community, because the community is something that strives as a whole. It's the sum of the parts really do make up more than the whole. Yeah. And if we start losing these parts, we're going to start losing who we are and the community itself.
I agree. And that's one thing that I've noticed quite a bit, with doing some of the races. Like for me, living up in the Pacific Northwest, and I've mentioned this to people a few times, we have like a 4-month window. Pretty much there's races up here from like pretty much maybe May to September. So like I've started doing triathlons, and I've started really focusing hard on triathlons. I still do the OCRs, but I've been focusing hard on triathlons. Literally the last triathlon was the Ironman in September, and looking at the calendar, there's not another Ironman or not another triathlon of any type up here, except for maybe some indoor, until June.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's it. So that's kind of our windows up here. So a lot of time having like OCR Buddy or something with local races, I can look at, because we get Spartan in August and September. If you go down to Portland, you
Mhm.
you get those, and then we get Tough Mudder like the weekend after. So we get that in September. So August and September is when we get the big guys up here in the Northwest. And other than that, we don't see any. We have to travel. So if we want to go to any of the bigger races, even the race brands. So I mean, we kind of have the OCR Buddy. We can use that to look at, okay, what smaller events do we have around here? What else can I do, to whet my appetite? I want to do an OCR race. I want to get muddy. I want to get out there and do it, but I don't have the money to travel all the way. So what do I have in between? In between those, August and September when we have the big guys up here.
And that's also very important. And there's, is when people, they're looking for something to do.
Mhm.
And, which is why also, to go off on other things that OCR Buddy has and does, is that there's multiple types of races. And obstacle racing, and it's kind of a debate that's going on right now, is what is obstacle racing, because of what's happening with the pentathlon and bringing in the fifth discipline. There is a difference between OCR and obstacle racing.
Mhm.
So we also have inside of OCR Buddy are the ninja events. We have adventure events. We have parkour. We do the inflatables. We have all of that because there are different types of events as well. And all
Yes.
these different kind of events that we can get out there are different things that people can do and support local companies, larger companies, but also getting them out on the course. We worked with Mud Gear over the past year. They were one of our advertisers. They dropped off as an advertiser, but they're staying on as a partner. And what we're doing is we're providing them one of the things that we can do for various companies, businesses, race teams, is we provide a widget onto their website, which is a calendar from our database. And they asked us, hey, listen, we support the ruck community. So guess
Mhm.
what's coming in our next version? Our next update, you're going to have a ruck section. So you can
Oh.
actually search for ruck events as well. So we're going to be working with them to start bringing in different types of rucking events from around the country and around the world as well. So it's just a matter of getting people on the course. And to do that, that's what OCR Buddy's trying to do, is just get people out there, different kinds of events, different places around the world,
Mhm.
and different things. And if I can get people to tell me, hey, I didn't know that was there. Thank you. There's people who I know here in town who I can't get to a race, but I found this virtual event. I found that savage virtual, and I love them. I do them all. I found this brand virtual because I can't go travel, but hey, it's still out there, still on
Yep.
the app. So it's a pretty big rush when you hear people thanking OCR Buddy for doing what we do, because that's really what it's for. And it's a really cool, rewarding experience that doesn't seem to stop giving back to me, which is
Yeah.
part of, I think, why I keep giving over and over back to the community, the OCR community as well, and the obstacle community as well.
Yeah. I mean, to hear the rucks are going to be in there, that's cool. So, because that's one that we can still do up here a lot of times, they will have ruck events up here in the winter time, because, whatever, ruck in the sun, ruck in the snow, it's all the same thing. It all
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah,
But
we're beta testing it right now, which is basically just me testing it on my phone.
Yeah.
And maybe by the time this is heard live, it might be part of the app. But it's this latest update is rucking.
Mhm.
We're also adding so you can download events to your iPhone calendar, because we already have the ability to do a Google Calendar. And then we're also adding a notification and a different screen on your phone, so you can program it so your phone will tell you any events that are within a certain distance of your house or whatever location. But you will also get a notification every day that an event is added within the last 24 hours within that range. So if you're in the Pacific Northwest, and let's say your range is 250 miles from Seattle, and we had an event at whether it's a rock, an inflatable, whatever it is within 200 miles of your house, if that's within your filters, you'll get a notification in the morning at whatever time it is that, hey, OCR Buddy had an event in your area.
Yeah.
So Yeah, so
That's
we'll,
pretty cool event, the
yeah,
cool feature. So
and that was suggested from one of our users. And these are the kind of things that even makes it even better about OCR Buddy, is that from the day that I created it, invented it, worked with our tech guys, they're Blind Hack LLC in New Jersey. I'll give them
mhm.
every plug I can because they're great for me, and the couple brothers who are always looking to find something new to do for the app. But people will tell me all the time, hey, listen, can you do this? Can you do that? And that's how a lot of these things come through, is from people making a suggestion. And OCR Buddy is that for the community as well, is that, I'm one person. We
Mhm.
have almost now 10,000 downloads. There's 10,000 people out there that have ideas or could have ideas that could make the app better.
Yeah.
So most of our good ideas are not from me. They're from the people who are using it and say, hey, can you put a location app in there so we can tell you, give me directions? Can you put something about hotels? Can you tell me the weather? All those various things are ideas that have come from people, that is just a matter of having the ability to create it behind the scenes and bring it to people. And that's
That's awesome. And I mean, it's cool that you listen to the users. I mean, there's so many times you hear companies say, "Oh yeah, give us suggestions." Well, where you're actually showing that you are listening to the user. The user say, "Hey, this would be cool." I mean, for me, if I was going to make a suggestion, triathlons. But I mean, that's just because that's my focus at the moment. As I'm still doing OCRs and I'm still watching for OCRs, but at the same time, I've been focusing really hard on triathlons and trying to get better at that stuff. Which, as soon as we're done recording, I think I'm gonna go down to the pool at the hotel and take a swim now. But
and
so
I'm here in the basement. I used my setup to get myself ready for our the Alive awards when we do it. So I had an idea if the setup works. So far it looks like it's okay.
yeah, it looks like it's working pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of the things too. I mean, that we were going to talk about here. I mean, I wanted to talk about OCR Buddy, what all the stuff you got going on with it, because I mean, it's a great, like you said, it's a great app. I mean, it's great to find things. It's great to help people. I mean, it's a useful, very useful tool to be able to find the stuff that we want to do. And I mean, it's good to, Mud Gear, is working with you and stuff, and, for the rucking and stuff like that. I still haven't got anything from Mud Gear. I haven't decided if I want to try it yet. I know Dawn does a bunch of stuff with Mud Gear. So it's always funny because for BeastNet, there's a few things that we're kind of affiliates with, but some of it Dawn does a lot with, and other stuff I do stuff with. So it's kind of funny where, yeah, like Mud Gear is the one that Dawn's kind of been focusing on, and I've been, got a few of the other ones that I do. So
Yeah. Like I said, we work with Mud Gear. They're our partner. Right now when you go on our on the app or through the website, our splash screen is now the company Fit Shit, which is basically shit that fits. And they have fillable sandbags, and they have other type of clothing as well, and compression socks. And I'd be remiss if I didn't give them a little plug, because I gave Mud Gear a plug as well.
oh yeah.
But
So I
yeah,
might
it's
have to look at that.
yeah, it's I love their socks, and and the good people that run that company. So I have to
And
give
I'm a
them a plug.
huge sock guy. I never thought I'd be a sock guy, but I'm now one of those, like, after so many races and doing all that and realizing so quickly that your feet are huge. I mean, making sure
Oh
your
yeah,
feet are taken care of is huge. I've had too many races where I didn't take care of my feet correctly, and I had major issues because of it. I mean, the biggest one I could think of is, I think, Hawaii in 2019, which was the first time I finally got all 3 races in a weekend in Hawaii. But by the time I got to race number 3, like, literally I couldn't wear my race shoes. I had to wear just normal tennis shoes because my feet were so swollen and so tore up that, like, once I got to, like, the dunk wall, I'm literally, like, my feet are technically literally bleeding. I'm not going in that water. But then for the next 3 days, or I think we were there for another 4 days in Hawaii, I could barely leave the hotel room because I couldn't put shoes on because my feet were so wrecked. And even like flip-flops. I mean, it was like, every time I took a step, it was like excruciating pain. I'm like, okay, we need to fix this problem. And I found, socks and the right shoes. So I mean, having, the what did you call it? Fit shits?
Fit Shit. Yep, Fit Shit.
Fit
Yep.
shit. I mean, that sounds like a great idea. And I mean, it's one of those things, like, you mentioned Mud Gear, and I've heard their socks are really good. but I'm very picky. I like, after so many times tearing at my feet, I have like one type of sock that I really love, and it cracks me up because they're white. So every time I do a race, everyone's like, you realize you're wearing white socks. And I'm like,
Yep.
yeah. And they're comfy and they work and they won't be white at the end of this. And I don't care.
There's a lot of different things that, and if you could easily just put a post onto any of the different, Facebook groups, say, hey, what socks should I get? And you'll get 30 different ideas. But when you find something that's right for you, when my Mud Gear socks and the Fit Shit socks, and I'll knock on wood as I say this, I've never gotten a blister.
Yeah.
So, that's important, and knowing that your gear, knowing your shoes, your socks, your shirt, the temperature, your water pack, what you're putting in, your electrolytes, all important, especially, to those that they're extending from those 5K and beginning events that we spoke about before that people join. As you start getting into these supers, beasts, longer events, endurance events, triathlons, that becomes important. And listening to I'll always go back to the community, listening to the community for ideas, nutrition, it's all very important, and all ties in together because, I'll go back to, that word that's right there, community, it's all
huge.
Yeah. Yep.
It is. The one thing I can say that's funny though, that everyone always laughs and they're surprised. My socks are technically, I wear cotton socks.
Ooh, really?
Which everyone tells you shouldn't, but it's the only way I found that I don't get blisters.
That's exactly what I say before. It works for you. If that works for you,
and that's what I always say. I always go to the community, but it's always one of those things you're going to get 30 different answers, and you just got to find the one that works for you. Like I said, they're cotton, like Adidas socks is what works for me every time. I don't get blisters. Cracks me up. I always have a thing. Everyone laughs. If you ever race with me, you'll hear me. The first time we hit mud, I'll totally do this thing that I'm just like, nobody told me there'd be mud. This is bullshit. I have white socks. And like, I had one guy, one race was like, is he serious? And one of my friends is like, no, he's done this like 60 times. Just ignore him.
Yeah, my line is a line in City Slickers where, if you know the movie City Slickers, where he's actually giving birth to the cow, from the cow, and he takes his hand down and goes, this wasn't in the brochure. So so
loses his watch, everything. Yeah, I remember that.
So when I'm riding, in New Jersey, they always start with the first is always the hill straight up, and Killington is always the hill. Being here in the Northeast, that I always start that right at a quarter mile in. This wasn't in the brochure.
Yeah, it was not on the brochure.
Get some people to laugh. My friends know it's coming, so just start.
That's me. Mine is usually that one, or I'll be somewhere along the way, and it's been a while since we've had a water obstacle, and I'll be like, so when do you think the next PD obstacle is? And there'll be someone next to me, like sit there for a minute and go, oh, yeah, and they'll realize what I just said. But
yeah, it's always fun to have fun with people.
It is, and it's so much fun. And like you said, it's the community. I mean, it's all about the community, and that's what I love. OCR has a great community, and OCR Buddy helps bring that community together and keep us going. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, I love OCR Buddy. So like I said, the awards. Now we're going to get into figure we should bring up the awards. That was really the whole reason we were supposed to talk, but I wanted to talk about the other stuff first. So now the awards. Every year we do the awards. So how many years has this been?
This is actually our second year.
It's only been 2 years. I thought.
Last year was the first year we did it, and I will give a ton of credit to my social media person, Bonnie Wilson, who
love Bonnie.
She is probably the heart and soul of many different areas of obstacle racing, and people don't even realize know who she is.
Oh yeah.
And just last year, it was in the middle of last year, sometime around July of 2021, we were coming out of the pandemic. Some races were happening, others were still canceling, and Bonnie and I were talking about, let's see if Mud Run Guide comes back with the awards. And Bonnie used to work with them.
Yep.
And sometime when October hit, the end of October, we kind of just said to each other, I not hearing anything, not questioning anything, let's just do it. And we went through last year with the OCR Buddy Community Choice Awards.
Mhm.
And and I think it was well received. I think that it filled a void that was needed in our community. And after a couple of years of the pandemic and people not feeling not confident, but a sense of pride. I wanted to do something that at least try to bring the community together over something.
Yeah.
And so we brought back the awards, and we used, we had the typical awards, the race of the year, the top brand, and best athletes. But we did a couple of other things. We had a write-in choice, just various things like that, and
Mhm.
favorite moment, just various things. We didn't try to go too much. We didn't try to go 18, 20, 30 categories. I think we kept it at 15, just to keep it simple, but to also do something to give back to the community.
Yeah.
And I reached out to a whole bunch of different companies, brands, events, and we had over 24, I call them collaborators, which are really just OCR related groups, BeastNet being one of them, who I asked to help us promote this as a community. And it, like I said, it seemed to be very well received. I don't remember anything negative. We got constructive criticisms on what we did and how we did it, which I always take to heart. And if, and I understand them. And some of those helped us form what we're doing this year. And it is the second year of we're doing it, the 2022 second annual OCR Buddy Community Awards. And it's, so again, I reached out, and I'm going to just like, this is literally the list of our collaborators this year. And it really is, many of these brands, companies, are really a heart and soul of who we are. And
Yeah.
when I say who we are as a community, we are, it's, obstacle course racers, which is, if you go on to Instagram, it's ocr.racers. More heart than scars. We are strong as oak. Hazelwood OCR. You guys at BeastNet. Race Ready Obstacles. The Abominable Snow Race. Lionhearts Fitness. Strength and Speed, along with the Mudgear Battle of the Lions Pro Team. HeartFit Hybrid and OCR. Frontline OCR. Team Race Builder, which is Sid and Aaron. Sid from the guys who do all the race building at all the various obstacle races. Sid from down south, and Aaron from Race Ready. Boulder Dash, Phoenix Race OCR, Legend Born, Metal Addict, Viking Obstacle Race, Middle of the Pack Podcast, Obstacle Fitness X up in Canada, USA OCR, Highlander Assault, and Team Iron Edge OCR. Those are all our collaborators. And, all these groups offer something. They are teams, they are brands, they are races. Legend Born is a profit company, but all of them provide something to our community. And with this, they're providing an outlet for us to reach out to more people, to be able to say, hey, these awards are here. We were taking nominations. Help us nominate your favorites. And I'm gonna, while we're here, I'm also gonna just pull up the categories while we're talking, just because we did expand a couple of them this year. We added a few extras because now that we learned from what we did last year, and we learned some of the mistakes we made, which, it's some of the mistakes we made, some of the things that we did well. And so we're coming up with the best overall event in 2022, the best large race series in North America, which we define as 10 events or more, the best small race series in North America, best international race in the Western Hemisphere, and the best race in the Eastern Hemisphere, best male athlete, best male OCR athlete, best female OCR athlete, best individual accomplishment, which we describe as what moment inspired you, motivated you, or made you say, wow. Most inspirational person or group, OCR community builder, who's gone above and beyond to help the OCR community, the best team or the best OCR community, best obstacle of the year, best medal of the year, best podcast of the year,
That'd
We
be
also
decent.
have,
Just think.
we also have what we call the unofficial awards, which is a writing award that we want people to suggest different type of awards as well. And then the volunteer of the year, because the volunteers are a tremendous part of obstacle racing that do not get as much credit as deserved. And we
No,
want to
they
make
don't.
sure that we can reach out and say thank you. And I know so many people who volunteer because, hey, listen, you get a race credit out of it or you get something from it. I also know a whole lot of people who volunteer because they just want to be there.
Yeah.
And those people are unappreciated at times. So we added that this year to say thank you to our volunteers.
Which is awesome. So, and there's some race brands, I'm surprised some don't give as many benefits for volunteering as others. So I did one, basically volunteered for one, and it was, I got pretty much a thank you and a t-shirt.
There are some that can't do more, and that's not a negative thing
Which
as well.
It's not this was a big brand though. This was a large brand. So they yeah. But like the smaller ones, there's a lot of smaller ones I volunteered for just because I was there and I wasn't planning on leaving anytime soon. So why not? You
And there are
know.
also brands that do volunteer heats. There are
Mhm.
some that do at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and again, it's, I'll never fault the brand for anything to do with their volunteers, because
Yeah.
getting a volunteer is very difficult, especially, I don't know if you saw any of the pictures of the weather at Fenway over the weekend, or
Yeah,
that
a
was
little
down
bit,
at,
yeah.
or what was down at, the world's toughest when it's cold and rainy. These volunteers are still out there.
Mhm.
And you may not get all of them to show up. You may not get all of them to participate for the amount of time they're supposed to, because listen, 38 degrees and raining, 42 degrees and raining. But those that are there, I always make sure that when I'm passing obstacles, I say, hey, volunteer, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Which is amazing. I thank them all the time too. One of the things that's cool is one of the race brands I did, Iron Man. They have, when you sign up, you get you can grab an extra bracelet. And the whole purpose of having this specific bracelet is when you pass a volunteer that you think is doing a really good job, you're supposed to hand it to them
oh, that's
as
cool.
a thank you. So it's like, it's kind of cool as a volunteer, to see how many bracelets you can end up with. So, but what was bad when I volunteered, I was at, sign up. So I was the one handing out the bracelet. So, but I did have one guy when I handed it to him and I'm like, oh, you're supposed to give it to a volunteer that's doing a really good job. And he handed it back to me. And I'm like, well, that's kind of cool.
Cool.
But, yeah.
That's cool. And a lot of the categories, it's hard to say who's the best, obstacle, because there's going to be, Savage has specific obstacles, Spartan has specific obstacles, Indian Mud Run has specific obstacles. And, how can people compare an obstacle they've never done to an obstacle they've done 20 times in the year?
Mhm.
However, that's part of what it is, we're gonna, when we do right now we're in a nomination. I should say right now we're in nominations. Nominations will be around for about 2 weeks. I think to just about Thanksgiving weekend, we're going to keep nominations open. And through that time, we're going to keep track of how things are going. And what we do before we go to the voting is we'll get pictures. So we'll get other types of comments as well. So when we do a post about it, or we go to the voting, we hope to at least give information behind it. So I think that, the Savage, Sawtooth, or, floating walls, or, what's the difference between A and B? Why is this rig better than that rig? Well, we hope to provide that information.
Mhm.
When, the best female athlete of the year, if people vote, person A, we're going to give a little information about them, maybe a link to their Instagram page, something. So it's not just, person A, person B, person C. We may not be able to do that with all of them, but we're going to try. So between the nominations and the actual voting will probably be about a week. And that will give Bonnie enough time to put all my ideas together and not kill me. I joke with her all the time that she wants to kill me all the time. And she does pretty well keeping her sanity with me with, my ideas that float through all the time. But she puts a lot of the back stuff together. Everything you'll see, not all the graphics, but a lot of the back stuff. Actually, she'll do the graphics for the live. So all that stuff you'll see is Bonnie. And and all the stuff that we're going to get together is, we just try to give everybody the best information that they can, the most information they can, and make everybody feel like, this is also a fair, everyone's getting a fair shake.
Yeah.
And we also after the awards are over, we actually, which we did last year, we're going to do again. We actually post the results after everything, because we want to be transparent. We want people to see how the voting went. And it's part of that was when the first year that OCR Buddy was around. I think it was it was either 1990, the 2016 or the 2017 awards that Mud Run Guy did. OCR Buddy came in second. And when it was announced that over 6,000 votes, there was a 1 vote difference. And I had lost a vote to the main sponsor of the event.
Yeah.
So I never questioned it. I never doubted it. Hey, we came in second in our first or second year, and it was fantastic for the category it was. But, by 1 vote over 6,000 to the sponsor, okay, I'll take it, and I'll take my second place and be happy.
Yeah.
But I don't want anybody feeling that way. I don't want an athlete, a brand, a competitor, anyone feeling like, there's something that, may not be there. And I will say this, I am not throwing shade at anyone from Mud Run Guide from that year. I'm not. I have said this publicly before. So I gladly accept it. So please do not feel like I am throwing shade at anybody or any brand specifically. I want to do so.
It's one of those things. A lot of times it's great to be nominated. I know people say that all the time, and it's like, oh yeah, whatever. But it is. I mean, it means people recognize you. I mean, it's like, I think we've BeastNet at least once or twice. I think when the Mud Run Guide were doing it, I think maybe last year, we've taken runner up.
You were, I believe you were runner up last year. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we've taken runner up with, I think twice, at least twice, maybe more than that. Don would have to check. I don't pay attention to these things. I do, but it's like, it doesn't, they don't live in my brain, if you know what I mean. It's like, if we do it, great, thank you. But being nominated and people just recognizing that, enough for us to even be runner up. I mean, against some of these, other podcasts that are, not to sound bad, better produced, everything else. We pretty much just record on Zoom and have fun conversations with our friends. And I mean, if you people love that, amazing. Thank you, for, nominating us. But I mean, just that is recognition, not for me. I don't do this, for the fame and glory. If I was, I'd probably put a lot more work into it. But I do it just so I can have like fun little chats like with Russ here and all my other friends, and I really, during COVID, this is one of the things that kept me going, was recording these, so.
There was during COVID and during the pandemic, that time, I had to make a personal choice because, OCR Buddy is basically an app that at the time, 2019, the beginning of 2020, was an app that basically all we did was talk about races.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get into a pandemic where
there are no races.
There's no races. But what was happening, if you may remember that everybody started canceling events like March, April, every post became what events were canceled.
Yeah.
And I was as guilty as everyone else because, hey, that's what I did. And, OCR Buddy, if an event is canceled, we still leave it in the database unless it was changed as a date and it goes to red. So if you see a red event, that means it's been canceled. What was happening was everything turned red. And I had to make a choice at that point. What was I going to do if this pandemic lasted a while? And Bonnie was a very big part of this, is that the decision became, let's focus on the community. Let's change a little bit of what OCR Buddy does besides just a race and calendar app. And let's see how we can change it for the community. So we started working with everybody that had all the virtual events. We started promoting the virtual events and people doing these events, taking their pictures, posting them that, hey, you can do this. Bone Frog was doing this. Tough Mudder had their events. Spartan had their events. Promote the people doing it. The small events were doing it. Viking Obstacle Race did with Asa. He did it was like a couple 100-mile event that was a virtual event. But what it was, he planned a map that started literally in my hometown with a picture of me where they used to do the Tough Mudders. And based upon your mileage, you would see how you progressed on this map. And the map traveled around different spots in the Northeast, stopping at different races and different brands and different places. And we promoted things like that because that's what kept people going. Yeah. And also through that time, somehow or another, and I say it that way, downloads to the app increased. And our social media went up like 50% during the pandemic. And it was because of the change of realizing that the community, and I said this before, the sum of the parts of the community is much greater than the whole.
Yeah.
And then we started reaching out to brands. Hey, what are you doing? How can we help? Teams. Hey, what's going on? What can we promote for you? Let's just keep the positives going. And when people had events, and there were certain places in the United States and the world that had, Florida had events, Texas was having events. I know there were a couple of places in the Northeast that were having events, Arizona. Those events were promoted. And it was because we wanted to show people that there was hope, that there was something that, in New York, Long Island, we were, one of the worst places for a very long time when the whole pandemic. And things weren't happening around here. But during all of it, City Challenge, which is, a non-mud race, a city challenge, obviously an urban race here in the Northeast, they had an event in October of 2020 or November of 2020. I just saw the, on the Facebook memories, and I'm like, hey man, that was 2020. I did an event and we promoted the heck out of it. Yeah. Just because we wanted people to realize that, there's more than a pandemic. And,
and those virtual challenges saved a lot of us. That was kind of one of the things, like I'll be honest, I didn't start using OCR Buddy a lot until 2020. I'd used it a little bit here and there, but I knew which races I wanted to do. I kind of had that idea. I knew which races I did. It was, am I right? My wife probably used it more than I did, even though she doesn't do the races, because she plans out the races. Because most people know, if I do a race and travel, then she gets a vacation.
Right.
So she had to pick the destination. She didn't want a vacation to like Ohio. So, I had to make.
Nothing wrong with Ohio. Some great events in Ohio.
I know there is, but that's about it. There's nothing else to do there. So that's why she's making sure to do the planning, or we would have ended up in Ohio, because there are some good events in Ohio.
Ohio had events. Yeah.
So, and there was a bunch of those, but those virtual ones kept a lot of us. Like one of the big ones for me was battle miles. I did a lot of battle miles because they had great virtual events. I did all the Spartans. I think I did like 5 trifectas for Spartan. On those virtual ones and all that kind of stuff. So, it's those virtuals, but that's when I really started looking at OCR Buddy. Like I needed something else. It's like Rock and Roll. They did virtual, but they actually just posted that their virtuals are about to end at the end of the month. So, or the end of the year. So, a lot of those are starting to end, some of those virtual ones, but I think they should still keep going. And I think they're a great choice.
Well, we do. I do keep listing them. We do keep still listing them. It's Bone Frog, Savage, like for example, right now, Highlander Assault is having one. If I know of it, and there's certain brands who it's constant, and some of the virtual runs, and the ones, if I know that it's there, I will keep putting it up there. Especially the companies who reached out to me during the pandemic as well, and we put out there. Battle Miles has always been part of the app. So I think that's important too, because you're in Ohio in the winter time, and there's nothing to do because it's Abominable is in Wisconsin. Ohio. You don't want to go to Wisconsin, or you're in Iowa, wherever, and you want to say, okay, how am I going to challenge myself tomorrow? All right, well, let's go check out the Savage Poseidon, or let's go check out what Bone Frog's doing with their multiple different events. And it's important. And plus, it keeps companies with the financial wherewithal that, not wherewithal, financial gains that they could still get from someone just want to challenge themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel like sitting here today. What's a virtual? All right, I'm going to go run 5 miles with a 22-pound, sack on my back and do push-ups along the way or squats or this or that. And when I'm done, I'm going to be sweating like a pig and I'm going to feel great about myself. And, I'll get a medal in the mail and a t-shirt. Great. But it's the accomplishment of that in the meantime.
Yeah, it is. And that's what I love about a lot of those. Like, I know we BeastNet, we have one that we do, but there's no medal for it. It's just a challenge that we do for fun. But it's every year for my birthday, we do the Pretty Mike challenge. That's last year was the first one of it, because after I lost 100 pounds, the whole challenge is
you do 100 miles or something. You were doing a mile a pound or something.
No, what we do is when we do the challenge, I run my birthday usually every year in December. So I run my birthday. But for the Pretty Mike challenge, you start with 100 pounds between like sandbags, whatever, and then every quarter mile you drop 10 pounds.
Right. Okay. I knew it had to do something with the 100 pounds because years ago I was also 300 pounds once, so I've kept that weight off for a very long time. So, but I get it completely. And, I'll walk around sometimes, with 90 pounds in my hands doing like a farmer carry and think, holy crap, I was this weight once. That's a cool part of weight loss, is realizing what you've done. So kudos to you, congratulations to you on that. And it's definitely very cool to because I remember a lot of those posts that you were doing during the pandemic too, with those races and everything that you're doing to yourself, and these posts of you just laying on the floor afterwards. So I remember those. So kudos to you on those.
It is, but it's been one of those, like this year, it's like I just had a big talk with Megan back, and we talked about how like I'm wrecked. Like my body right now, it's like the last month and a half, like everyone's hasn't noticed, like I haven't been doing a whole lot because my body's just like, you're done. So I've been taking like a break, letting my body heal, because I need it. 2.5 years of pushing like I've been, and my body's like, you're gonna be 45 in a couple of days. So it's time to slow down. Just take a break for like 2 weeks. Or like 2 months, let your body kind of heal up, and then you can start pushing again, but just take a break.
Yeah. Speaking of Megan, who's one of our ambassadors, which I will say we have 75 ambassadors this year, but I'll get back to that in a second. That's another part of the community that is excellent. There are many great trainers, nutritionists, and other people out there that have so much more knowledge than me, than people who don't study, that they're not shy and they're not asking for, anything in return for their knowledge. You could turn to Megan, the OCR trainer, Meggie BATC, those are her Instagram handles, and say, hey, listen, what can I do with this? And she's a trainer, but she's not going to sit there and say, well, it's $25, I'll help you, but I've never come across anybody in this community who I've asked a question to who's not helped in any way, shape, or form that they can. And and there are people who own gyms, and I will, out by me, there's a place, Obstacle Athletics. Kevin LaPlatney, who is the Mudman, he used to race himself. He has his own place now, a gym out here, and I could always reach out to him and say, hey man, what am I doing? And what am I doing wrong? Help me here. And it's just, all the various people are amazing. It's again, it all comes back to the community, all comes back to the people that, what's different, I think, once what's different in obstacle racing, to continue the thought about community, that's unlike other sports, is that even going up to the elites, you're always competing, but you're never really in a competition.
No.
And I say that you look at anybody who's out there on the course, they're always helping each other, always, and even the elites that, they don't specifically help each other, but they cheer each other on. You'll always see a photo, the video of the first elite who's passed through the finish line. Second person comes in, a hug, handshake, high five. The person's laying on the floor, they lay down next to them. And that's the camaraderie in this sport of obstacle racing that is unique, I think, in many other sports, is that while you're competing, you're all there in the same community. And, in the open waves, I'm as guilty of when I'm in a Tough Mudder, I'll stand on top of Everest for 5-10 minutes helping people. It's not about, I don't do the competitive waves, not that I could even if I tried, but it's about helping people over, Block Ness Monster, or teaching, one of my best friends in life I met because I taught her how to go over an inverted wall. That now became friends somehow or another, and we're one of my best friends. So, that's another thing about this community that I love, and why I think that is the reason why I do what I do, is because it's really a big family in a way. In family, some people don't get along with others. Some people do. Some people you love more than others. But in the end, you want to see everybody succeed. You want to help everybody get across that finish line and get the medal, the T-shirt, the headband, whatever it is. But you also get the story. You get that story of after a race, you go back to, if you're in a group at the hotel and you just tell these stories about mile 6. What the hell is that? Where was that climb? How did that happen? Whatever it is. And so,
and that's one of the things I love. And I missed that. That was, I think, the hardest part, like in 2021, when everything started to open back up and you go to races and the community wasn't there right at the beginning. Where all of a sudden, like some of them, like the first one I really went to, like the bigger races, was Spartan in Vegas. And it was in like March of 2021. And I go there, you couldn't go into the venue until 30 minutes before your start time. And then once you finished, it was pretty much like off you went. So it was like the first time, and it was the first time I ever ran competitive. And I ran it, and then I missed that whole thing afterwards of talking to my friends like, oh my God, I hit every obstacle. I did this. I just did a super in, less than 2 hours, and everything else. And I mean, this was huge to me, and I had no one to share it with. And that was one of the biggest things that just killed me in that race. It honestly destroyed my spirit almost.
But I will say that I will give tons of credit to everybody who put an event on. Any type of event, because some people would contact me with questions, and no, unless you were an event producer during that time, it's very hard to understand the legal hoops that they had to jump through to get these events happening. Spartan, and Spartan, and with these multi-state events, Spartan, Tough Mudder, Savage, and this is something that happened with Bone Frog as well, is you can have the same event, one in New York, one in Pennsylvania, one in Michigan, and all three will have different rules. So it wasn't just that they had to put it on an event, but that's why some of them just kept the same rules as from one event to the other, because just for consistency. Because and so I give Spartan.
I give great credit. They did an amazing job making it happen. It's just like I said, it hurt because it was like it made me really understand how much the community means to me more than the racing.
And that's and going back to tie this back to what I said way before, that's really what our focus became, is that even to this day, yes, OCR Buddy is about the events. OCR Buddy is about getting the races out there and getting the information into your hands. But we changed our social media. We changed the Instagram. And while we still do what we do, and I think what we do best in the world, and I will say that, I will be very proud in saying I think what we do, we're the best in the world at what we do. Our social media has changed. We want to focus on the people. We want to focus on things that aren't your typical, hey, like, obviously, with Tough Mudder announced their world's toughest mudder. Of course, I'm going to post about that. But I'm also going to post that, the Spartan announced their U.S. National Series in the United States and their regional race in the UK. Of course, I'm going to post about that. But I also want to post about people who made their podium for the first time, or the amazing, the amazing things that some people are doing, or a certain race brand that's gone above and beyond. Because those are things that's not your typical, and you know what? They may not get the same number of hits or the same number of likes, but you know what? I think that in the end, it helps organically grow the community and who we are, and that's one of the things I love about it.
Oh yeah. It also shows that, you're willing to evolve. You're not, you're not one of those, you're not stuck in the mud saying, this is what I built, this is what it is, this is all it is. You're willing to say, hey, this is where we started. Let's see where it ends up. Sky's the limit.
And every day I look forward to finding out if there's something else that I can do to make things better, to change it, to keep growing. I'm excited. There was a time that, there are times it gets very hard to do what I do with OCR Buddy. Events come flying in. I know I miss some things. OCR Buddy is all done by hand. There's no internet scrapers. There's no programs where we find everything. It's all done by hand. There are some people that help me, but everything else is basically I'm out there asking people to put in the events. Like for example, today, I got an email. Last week, I got an email of all the DECA affiliates to date. Every DECA affiliate gym is now in OCR Buddy. Every single one. And and I'm working with them to try to have their new affiliates put their information in themselves. Because anything that other people can do is more information that can get into the hands. I see everything that comes through. I literally physically approve every event, trainer posting, code posting, whatever it is. I literally physically see every single one that comes through. But the more events and more things that people can put in themselves that I miss, it makes the OCR Buddy even better. So you're listening to this and you're a race director, please contact me, put your races in yourself. It will make things a lot easier for me. It'll make things easier for you. Plus, I'll get the information as you want it. If you are a trainer, we have a spot where you can list yourself as an OCR trainer. If you're a gym, same thing. We have a lot of different things that we provide information for our community that is at no charge. We don't charge to download. We don't charge to post your codes. We don't charge to post you as a trainer, your gym, nothing. There's no money that I have ever taken in from anything but an advertiser in OCR Buddy, because I should rephrase that. There used to be $1.99 to download. From that day forward, which was a little more than a year ago, we have not taken a penny. And the only reason it was $1.99 was because I thought that if people paid $1.99, they would have a little more vested interest because they bought it. Yeah. And that thought worked for a very long time, and it was a true thought. It's a business sense. But when I made that switch, unless you're going to be a paid advertiser with whatever that is, everything is going to be free. And I will say that to race brands. If you can put a code anytime into OCR Buddy that's not promoted in any single way, and it is free. I do not charge you to put a code in that's also going to have you not charge your full amount later on. I don't double dip. I don't do that. So not that, it's a good business sense to do. And there are ways that we can promote for a fee. Yes. But anything we do that you go through the app that's not saying promoted or sponsored is free 100% for any user or person who submits information.
I know. Well, we're getting close to that hour mark. So, this has been a great conversation about the community, OCR, everything in OCR Buddy. OCR Buddy is a huge part of the OCR community. You've done so much to make sure that people have been able to continue to do OCRs, to help them out throughout, a pandemic and find virtual races. And it's a great tool. So anybody who's listening who doesn't have OCR Buddy, go download it and look at all the stuff that it can help you do to find and help you plan out, your races. One of the things is, a lot of people know there's a good chance that in a couple months, I'll be living in Texas. So I'm going to definitely need OCR Buddy so I can find all the cool races down there. So, yeah.
You can always find me through Instagram at OCR Buddy. You can find me on Facebook at OCR Buddy. Those messages come directly to myself. I see them all. So if there's a question that you have, please, you can email me, russ@ocrbuddy.com. I mentioned quickly before that we have 75 ambassadors now. They're in 15 different countries around the world. Now there's one in Malaysia and India, Kuwait, Chile, Finland, Denmark. There's a whole bunch of countries. Point being that even if you see someone who's listing themselves as an ambassador, you can ask them questions as well. That's all about the community. We're here for you guys. If there's something that you want to see in the app that's not there, tell me. If it makes sense, I will do it. We have some other surprises I haven't mentioned that we're working on that are pretty cool. We're not even in beta testing yet. It's like in Zeta testing at this point. It's because it's in my head. So I could talk about this forever. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on here and talk about the awards. Nominations are open. It's on my Instagram page. It's on our Facebook page. It's there. It's also, if you go on my Instagram page, the profile, the link, that is to the nominations. And nominate your favorites. Find who inspires you. What do you like? That's who I want to see. That is what I want to see out there. And we've already had a quarter of the amount of nominations in the first 36 hours than we had in all of last year combined. So we're excited and it's cool. And you guys, this community, and you guys, the BeastNet, you mean so much to everything that we do. All of the collaborators, my friends, my teammates, everybody who just wears this jersey and this color and this logo. I saw a picture of someone in Austria wearing a t-shirt. I'm just blown away. So just thanks, man. It's cool, man. It's humbling. I'm a humble person from all of this. So,
and like I said, anytime if you have anything you want to talk about, it's something new you want to roll out, whatever you want to come on here and promote it, you're welcome on BeastNet anytime. Like I said, you're part of the BeastNet family, so you're stuck with us. So,
well, thanks. And you guys are one of our partners, and I appreciate everything that you do. And may not like the comments or comment on them, but believe me, I see it. I saw it today. You shared things a few times, so it's just what everyone does for me, for me, and the amount of work that Bonnie does and our ambassadors do and our partners. It's just makes me work harder.
Oh yeah.
And thank you. Those are the two words that I will say is thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and I'm sure we will talk again soon. And like I said, anything you need from BeastNet, let me know, and we'll make it happen.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, and we'll talk soon.
I appreciate it. I'm always here for you guys too.
All right.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
All right.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.